Hi everyone, Coaching and Life back this week with our weekly webinar, which is primary for new clients coming on board to our life coach forum to get an idea why it is so important that we align on topics that is. Today we're speaking about 8 phrases that we talk about people, work, and Ryan is going to share with us life coach, hypnosis, hypnosis,
Hypnotist,
hypnosis,
I know it gets everybody, doesn't it?
hypnotist all the way from California. And like always, we are the greatest team and collaborate very well. And thank you for being on board, Brian. And
Yeah,
the eight,
absolutely.
the
Just
eight,
kind of a mellow day here today. How about for you over there?
it's bright sunshine, as you see.
I know it's so bright out there. Look at that. It's rainy here. Isn't that amazing?
Exactly.
So amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Today, so often when we're dealing with people at work, we find that we talk at them a lot, and people really get alienated. And the same thing happens in our relationships. And we wind up talking at our spouses, talking at our partners, at our kids, everybody. So today I thought it would be cool to share some phrases that would help allow you to be heard, but allow your partner, business, home to feel heard themselves and to feel validated. Because let's face it, Barrett, you know that we get a lot more out of it when people feel heard, don't they? Right?
Well,
Do you say anything to your husband so he can feel heard? You're like, get dinner on the table. Is that how you do it?
I don't think that's how it's done, and I think that actually, I think that we should try and switch the globe a little bit to the other side, and then speak about how do we add value to each other. And I think that exactly as you say, we phrase it wrong. It's
Yeah,
actually not. It's not. It's not. It's not intentionally. It's just because we're not practicing our language. And
you're right. You're absolutely right. And we usually communicate the way we've been communicated with, right? So growing up, the way that people have talked to us in business, is usually very dismissive,
it is.
and we don't think about it. We just, this is what I need. This is not happening. I need to get this done, and we take for granted that while we may be under stress, under the gun, the people that are working with us or working for us are under the gun. And when they come to us, a simple phrase that is, that seems like a lot to handle. That seems like a lot to handle right now. Can you imagine being told that you've just been validated? You've just validated them. They're like, oh, he gets it. She gets it. Okay. That way I don't have to feel defensive and I can move right into it. And that's not a difficult one,
Give
especially, yeah,
example.
that's it. Excellent. Yeah. So let's put this one at your home, right? Your husband comes home and he starts talking, about the day he's had. It's been, a rough day, and you've had a rough day too. But, normally we would say, yes, well, I've got this. But if you say, you know what, honey, that sounds like a lot to handle, all of a sudden you just validated that for him. Now he feels like you're his partner and not this separate entity with its own issue. And now once you're able to hear him and he hears you, you can both share in that.
And I think you're absolutely right. I think that the phrase that sounds like a lot to handle, you're actually, just saying, you're not saying how much or how little. You're just saying that sounds like a lot to handle.
Right. And you know what? It's not a hard phrase.
It is. Because if it weren't, we would be using it, and we're not.
Well, again, I think people are just not familiar with it. Once they get familiar with it, then it's like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Why would I not want them to be heard? Why would I not want them to be able to share that stuff with you? Yeah, that seems like a lot to handle.
It's because
Yeah.
a little bit we're stuck in Brian hurt or hurt. So you
Oh,
want to hurt people, or you want to feel like they're hurt.
right. You know
It's
what? That's actually a really neat phrase you came up with there. And yeah, hurt or hurt. And sometimes I think when we also use these phrases, they make us maybe feel vulnerable. But
And
that,
I think that's a lot to handle.
yeah, but that very good, Barrett. You did very well. Now, let's say that you've got an employee or um, a coworker
Hmm.
where you're working, and they come in and they're just laying it out. They're like, "Oh my gosh, it drives me crazy when so and so does this." That can easily lead into like gossip. That can lead into all kinds of other issues.
Hmm.
But that bugs you.
Hmm.
Oh yeah, that bugs me too. Right? Man, the clients, they never call back on time. They never sign their agreements on time. Yeah, yeah, that bugs me too. I can imagine, right? That bugs me too. Now you've just commiserated with them without having to fall into the pit of just continuing to complain about things. How many times do we get sucked in? Oh, yeah, man, and I hate when they do this and I hate when they do that. And then you wind up on this rabbit hole of just saying negative things. But yeah, boy, the clients, they didn't sign their paperwork, so we can't get things out. Yeah, that bugs you, bugs me too.
That
Drives me
bugs me
crazy.
too, but I think that that bugs me too, and I think that that sounds like a lot to handle. Do we have any other phrases that we can share
Oh,
today?
absolutely. And this one is a really good one for when you are when you've got somebody talking to you and you want to validate them, but you also want to make sure that you understand what they're saying. And that is, okay, so what I'm hearing is X, right?
Oh, so you would
Is that
say, so what I'm hearing is,
right? Now, but you don't want to say what you're saying is, because what we're doing when we do that, we may have the right intention, but it's placing this emphasis on them communicating correctly. But if I say, okay, what I'm hearing you say is this, so that now it's me. Now it's on me. What I'm hearing you say is that it, you get really frustrated because you can't get your work done when people don't sign the contracts. Yeah, that's exactly it. So now we also have taken control of that situation
hmm,
and we've given them ownership over it without having to be defensive about it, right?
I think that one of the most important thing, especially if I think about stress, especially in the stress coaching in the sessions, one of the thing is that people that tend to uh, in the beginning of the stress period, it's not their fault. You know, they it happened. It's like it's something that happened to them, and they weren't part of it. So I think that teaching oneself to have these phrases that can balance you on a daily basis is more important than anyone can imagine. And to be honest,
Absolutely.
Ryan, that's the
Yeah.
life coach form because you need to practice. We know it, but still we forget it. I
Right.
mean,
And the
it's
life coach firm is a great place to practice these phrases,
exactly
you know.
yeah.
But you know what? You're right about when new people come in for coaching is that they don't want to own a lot of it, and I get that. None of us want to feel responsible for any problems, but when you say, okay, what I'm hearing is this, is that right? That'll allow them to kind of start to take ownership. And then once they open that door, you just say, wow, tell me more about that. So there's another phrase, tell me more about that. Oh, that's interesting. Tell me more about that. Right. And that gives them an opportunity to non judgmentally share what they're thinking and potentially own that. And then to follow up on it, well, how are you feeling about all that? How are you feeling about it all? Right now, you've
That
just given
sounds
them.
like a lot to handle.
That's right. That's right. And so, how are you feeling about that? So now we're giving them that full opportunity. So we go from sounds like a lot to handle. Wow, tell me more about that. They give you the information. Oh, how are you handling all of that? And so now you're giving them the opportunity. You're not taking ownership. You're not assigning ownership. You're assigning the opportunity to feel this. Could you imagine interacting with your spouse when you're normally fighting about something and saying, you know what, honey, that seems like a lot to handle. How are you feeling about all that? Now, all of a sudden, you know, you don't have to be the one beat up on or beaten up on anybody. All of a sudden, it just opens right up.
I
And then
actually
we
got
all
another one for you, Brian, which I also think that is very good to use on a daily basis,
absolutely
especially when you if you're at work or you're very busy, and when you want to, engage with people, and you don't really know how you want to engage. That's a good point.
right. Acknowledging
Yeah,
what they've got on their plate, right?
yeah,
And
that's a
then
good point.
following up with the question always helps. Have I got it right?
Yeah, have I got it right?
You share what you think. Have I got it right? Because that little question there is right.
It's a lot. I understand it's a lot
That's
to
right.
handle,
Yeah,
but
and
that's a
that
good
there
point.
it's so good with relationships, with business, with clients, and just stupid people you encounter.
And
People want to push their
sometimes,
buttons, and if you're just like, yeah,
sometimes
they're like, yeah,
it's just nice sometimes to recognize other people by
yep,
having those phrases ready, so you don't engage. What I'm hearing you say is that don't open the door for a discussion or a fight that you don't want to take or have. So, what you're actually using this for is also a little bit to control your own good day. So, by
absolutely,
acknowledging
absolutely.
people, you don't allow them to enter your space and mind about how you feel. And
Oh, it,
and you
you're
don't
right.
need
It
to.
keeps that buffer there, but think about it. You just said something very valuable, and that is these people are frustrated.
Yes,
Why are they frustrated? Because they're not getting heard.
exactly.
Right? The moment you're like, oh, that sounds like a lot to handle, all of a sudden they're heard. Their frustration level goes down.
Mm-hmm,
How you feel about that? Yeah. All of a sudden now they have an opportunity to share that with you.
mm-hmm,
Now, like with everything else, you need to be aware and choose those battles because sometimes there are employees that just want to drone on and on and on and on and on and on and on about how they're feeling. So be aware that when you're dealing with somebody like that, you may not want to use the feeling word, right? You may just want to control, like, oh, yeah, that sounds like a lot to handle. Oh, yeah, I can imagine, right? And just try and keep that. So instead of dragging it out and having people be able to share with you, now you use it to keep people on track as well.
I think
And
that
frankly,
yeah, that's so we don't
yeah,
get life to be ups and downs during the day, but that we get more stability into our lives. And I think that for a lot of people, Brian, including myself, enjoyable, amazing to have the life coach forums to share, so that once you go out you have all these reminders that you know them, everyone knows them. It's not like this is a new discovery, or that we are inventing
right,
new ways of traveling. This is what we just need to remember: the basic of life, how to stay in balance, and how to be
exactly.
thankful for what we have, and know what we want to do tomorrow.
That's right. And we think about how do I want somebody to treat me?
Exactly.
So here's what I'd like from everybody and anybody watching is, do you have a particular phrase? Do you have a particular dynamic that allows other people to engage with you easily, or how you can, kind of do what we've been talking about to help um, empower other people without dragging up, the negative stuff? If so, put it in the comments, send it to us. I'd love to hear it, or join us on our forums, and we'll have a good time and kind of share all those things.